young and new and you're just getting into the world and you're having problems with finding your career and you don't like the path that you're traveling and you're not really sure about what you want to do, or the thing that you're doing right now you know you don't want to do for a living, or at least you have some hints or doubts about it. Or and on top of that, you're really interested in fashion, you're really interested in social media, you're really interested in Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc., etc. I'm going to recommend you 2 books. Now, I read a lot of books. That's partially why this YouTube channel is here. And these 2 books are very new books and they are tailored to you. These 2 women are very successful. They are very successful in life. The first book is called #GirlBoss. I've done a couple book reviews on this book. And it is an incredible book. It is, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of girly. She has a bit of sarcasm in the book, and it's really her story. It's really a story about a girl who really was against the whole corporate world, against materialistic stuff, and really was just going through life trying to do as little work as she could. And that's why, and she ended up going through like 16 jobs, ended up in a job where she literally just sat at the front desk all day and was just surfing the web. And she really liked fashion and vintage clothing, so she pretty much bought vintage clothing from thrift stores and flipped it on eBay. And she was really into Myspace. She got quite a following on Myspace, started to use Myspace to get more and more people interested into her clothing. She started flipping it more and more, realized this thing was taking off, and long story short, over the course of 10 years, she's turned that into a $100 million business, and she gets to wear really expensive fashion and, more importantly, shoes. And she gets to design her own clothing, and she has this entire team beneath her. It's an incredible story because this is a girl who never in her wildest dreams would have thought that she would be able to do any of this stuff. And although MySpace is dead and gone, there's a lot of parallels and things that you can still do and take from her experiences on MySpace that can still be applied to a lot of other areas. Like, rather than using a MySpace, I think there's certain stuff that can be done at the same on your own website. And she has her own Twitter. It's Sophia_Amoruso, and also her own Instagram. And recently she tweeted that YouTube really reminds her of the old MySpace days. There's definitely parallels. There's this one point in the book where she talks about how she was meticulous and like super detailed with making her thumbnails, those tiny little pictures that display each of her clothing items on eBay. She made it a point to make those stand out so that people browsing through clothing on eBay would click her thumbnails rather than other people's. And it was so crucial because thumbnails were really small and it took up like the majority of the real estate that showed your listing. And so she made the effort and she made the extra effort to make those things pop, which really got her to get more clicks. And definitely, and again, you can clearly see the parallels on YouTube. Now let's move on to the second book. This book is by Eliza Licht. This woman is, and I probably pronounced her name wrong, I'm so sorry. This woman is a social media expert in the sense that she really understands it. So this book definitely has more social media knowledge than the other one by Sophia Amoruso. And it also has a lot of fashion undertones, and in addition to that, she's also kind of sarcastic, just like Sophia Amoruso, really sarcastic. This one is even more interesting because of her story. So basically what occurred with her was that she was on her path to medical school. She took all the classes, she went to numerous internships, studied at a hospital, took the MCAT, was doing all this stuff, but in her heart, in her gut, as she was doing things and she was looking around and she was looking around at her other internship classmates, she realized that deep down she didn't have that deep passion that the other people did, and she made a tough decision. And she made a tough decision and told her parents that this isn't what she wanted to do. It's interesting because this girl is white, and usually, people assume that Asian parents are the ones who usually have this. And I do think that's true, but at the same time, the more and more I've stumbled across a lot of people of all different ethnicities, African American, Hispanic. They've also had these tendencies and pushes from their parents. I myself have been on that exact pathway, and it was tough. And I do think, and for some people, they keep going, they keep pushing, they keep trying to convince themselves. Others, they figure it out early on. And then there's others who are truly passionate and in love with medicine. So this girl went out on a limb, and she hustled really hard. She had all this experience and knowledge in physiology and medicine and all these courses to back her up. And she decided that she wanted to pursue a career in fashion. Now that's very tough. Most people would just give it up there. Most people would just sit there not knowing what to do. They would pity themselves because they don't have any fashion experience. They don't have any fashion connections. This girl literally went out and hustled. So what she did was she took out a fashion magazine, and she tried to get into contact with every single top executive and member of that fashion company, looking up the information off that magazine. And she did this because she knew that if she just tried to contact HR and send her resume and cover letter, and send her resume and cover letter, and she was willing to compromise. So many people are not willing to do this. Oh, I got an internship at a fashion magazine, which is what I wanted to do. I'm not doing it because it's not paying me. Like, that sort of stupid ego is going to drive you nowhere. And I've seen this occur. And another thing she did was she got an internship in a field in the company that she didn't want to. She got an internship in a field that she didn't really want to be in, ad sales. She was the person who had to cold call companies and convince them to buy advertisement in the magazine. Now, this isn't what she wanted to do, but she was in the fashion industry, in the fashion business, and so rather than, again, putting up the ego and saying, oh, that's not the industry or field I wanted to get into, she did the cold calling even though she hated it. And then on top of that, she did even more work in her spare time because she got it done so quickly. And in addition to that, she went around and studied and learned. She went around and studied and learned from all the other people at the company while she was working there, and learned what they did and learn what they did and how they function and all that other stuff. And I think that's so important because a lot of interns, they go to a company and they don't do that. They don't have that passion, and that leads to a difference in how they approach things. This girl is hustling. She's learning from every single person in every other department in her free time, figuring out what they do, how it works, and how they fit into the entire process. And the other interns, they're just there because they want something on their resume. And I think this is one of those clear examples that I constantly talk about in my videos, where it's an illustration and explanation, an example of how important passion is and why it will trump people, and why it's important and it will overcome other people in the long term. I think you should read this book if you're more interested in the social media aspect of things, because she talks a lot about Twitter and growing her Twitter to 500,000 followers and all the ins and outs of that, and how to deal with damage control for Twitter if you say something wrong, and on and on and on. And then I have an honorable mention. This is the book. There's a book called Getting There. I actually did an interview with the author of the book, and I actually did 2 videos interviewing the author of the book. And the book Getting There is basically a bunch of interviews from some of the most successful people in the world at the current moment. And there's this one interview of this fashion mogul in the book that I really recommend that you check out. This woman also hustled really hard to get to where she wanted to get to in the fashion industry, and it literally took her a decade to claw her way up. And it's so interesting because it gives me hope. There's plenty of, I do think that there's people out there who rocket to success, and they just luck out on a lot of different accounts. And maybe they post a lot of photos on Instagram and then they're getting modeling contracts, or they post 1 or 2 videos on YouTube and they get very successful. But the more and more I learn about people, I realize that a lot of them, they hustled and clawed their way up, and it took them years upon years upon years of work. And a lot of these seemingly overnight successes are not actual overnight successes. And I just think it's an incredible story that you should check out. And in that story, she was literally watching a runway in a highly exclusive fashion show. In a highly exclusive fashion show, she's basically like this fashion designer girl. And there's this really well-known fashion expert, fashion designer that was sitting next to her, and she told this girl, "Wow, it's just like you just all of a sudden, wow, it's so crazy. It's almost like all of a sudden overnight you got successful, and now you're sitting next to me." And then she says in the back of her head, "You have no idea. I clawed my way up after many years of hustle and work. It was not an overnight thing." So I just think that's one of those things that might provide you inspiration. And that's all I gotta say. I will leave some links in the descriptions to further resources, links to the books mentioned in this video, links to book reviews on Amazon if you want to check out the video. If you want to see other people's opinions on these books. Also, don't forget to leave this video a like. I don't get a lot of views on my videos, so my goal is 10 likes for this video. I put a lot of hard work into filming this video and editing it and putting it out there, so help me reach that goal, 10 likes. I will see you in my next video. Peace. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button below for free value bombs like the video you just watched whenever I upload new videos. And of course, the real conversation happens on my website, willyoulaugh.com. You can go there and leave a comment, and there's a higher chance that I will read it and respond on there. And make sure, if you're a helpful and ambitious person, to take the extra step and join my email newsletter on my site, willyoulaugh.com. That's where you will get into my VIP list, where you get some of my best discoveries, best content emailed straight to you, including updates, giveaways, and value bombs that I release nowhere else. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.